Ugh, the ownership piece, it's so good. And it's so hard because it takes like some loving but honest self-confrontation of like, ooh, I had a part in making a choice to do the college and career thing and missing out on things that I really desired. And I have to sit with that. I have to take ownership for that and take ownership for I get to choose what things look like going forward.
Yeah.
So it goes both ways. But if you try and like offload the responsibility onto somebody else, or it was my job, it was because of my boss, or like just all the excuses that we want to make, like you're playing the victim, and it's not actually helping, it's just perpetuating. So you get to choose, I guess you get to choose like the perspective that you take with all of this and what you do going forward.
Welcome back to another episode of Sessions for the Soul.
Yeah, welcome back, everyone. We are so close to entering the fall season, which is so exciting.
Yes. Speaking of which, to share again, if you don't know, our fall program is starting in just a few days.
Yeah, very excited for this to start. You guys can find all the information, and we'll put a link in the description below, and then also on our social media if you follow us either personally or on the podcast page. We'll put all the details there on how you can sign up. But it's going to be so amazing to have like a nice cozy container for 3 months of people who are wanting to like really lean into the fall season instead of resist it, and do it in a way that feels like so nourishing and fulfilling for what they personally have capacity for. So it's do as much or as little as you want throughout the program. So I'm very excited.
Me too. I think this is going to be so great. And I love that you said that, because as I was like thinking about like the 3-month, I was like, oh, don't be intimidated by that, because
Yes.
it's like, it's really self-paced in so many ways. So it's designed to fit all forms of commitment, low commitment, high commitment. Like it's so well curated for exactly that. So don't be afraid to check it out and join. And if you have any questions for us about it, please feel free to reach out. If you're listening to this on the day that it comes out, then you're just a few days away from like the final sign up. But yeah, we would love to have you on this journey with us.
Yeah, it'll be an opportunity to just have access to so many like different rituals and rhythms and routines that you can implement into the fall season so that it feels so good for you. It'll be a combination of like some very quick little like practical but powerful things that you can integrate into your life, or some more like intentional some things that might take a little bit more time in your life. So it's a matter of just figuring out like what's going to work for you personally. We'll have some like video demonstrations, some video somatic flows that are going to be great for like just really connecting with your body, like bridging that gap between mind and body in the season that we're heading into. So I am so very excited. We're also going to do monthly live video calls that people can like optionally tune into. We'll have like a recording available too if you miss it, just to kind of check in and give you access to Alicia and I to like do like a little Q&A, share some of your insights, get some feedback, and just to kind of like check in to kind of like check the pulse on how things are going. So very excited. Only a couple days left to join, at least at the time that this episode is coming out. So September 22nd, I forget if we said that or not.
We can say it as many times as we need. Yes, we're starting September 22nd. And also, if you're catching this later, there is the option to join.
Yeah, monthly. So it'll be a 3-month, 12-week program, and we're going to open enrollment, like reopen enrollment each month, like a few days before each month. So if you missed this episode and missed the announcement of September 22nd, but you're interested, you can join month 2 or join at the tail end on month 3.
Yeah.
And I think you'll still get so much value in the overall process. So
absolutely. And like all of these things can be translated really to any time period. So like obviously it's geared toward the season of fall, but if you happen to join, you know, at the end, or maybe you join through all 3 months and you're your availability changes. So like you're not able to fully commit in the capacity you'd like, you get to take those tools, all of the stuff we're providing, and say, a few months from the completion of the program, you actually do have the capacity to bring it in.
Mm-hmm.
That's totally, it's really just to give value to your life. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Very exciting. Very, very
Yay.
exciting. So this episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about just some of the grief, I guess, that we're kind of experiencing and that kind of is like coming to the surface for us as we're nearing the end of our 20s, approaching our 30s in
Mm,
November, which is very exciting. And I know we did an episode a few episodes back at this point of like lessons that we've learned in our 20s.
yeah.
And since then, we've had conversations together just outside of off the mic.
Out of the pod.
Yeah, about like some of the grief that
Mm,
is coming up for both of us in two very
different
different
ways.
ways, which I think is kind of fun to explore. Like when
Yeah.
you shared with me the other day just about some of the grief that you were experiencing around like having experiences but not necessarily this other part of life. And I when I came home from that and I was kind of reflecting at night and I was like, oh my gosh, I actually have like the complete opposite
Yeah.
experience as that. Same grief but like in a different
Way.
way.
Absolutely. When you sent me that message too, like that really was so, I think it's so important to like have conversations with our friends and the people in our lives who maybe we're like looking outside looking in. We're like, oh, like I really desire like what you have in ways, or like I really am
Yeah.
longing to like cultivate some of that in my life, right? But like have walked a different path, whatever, and being able to like really just see each other and be like, oh, I desire like your experience. And it's kind of like that thing of like, um, you know, being able to just kind of like get down on the ground of like the reality is like we all long for different things in different ways. And though like we can totally acknowledge and be so grateful and happy and like we love the lives we have,
Yeah.
and there's this grief and this desire for something more. And so I'm really excited to get into this with you, and just exactly like you said, like share, because some of our listeners, no matter what season of life you're in, whether that's you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, like it doesn't matter. You can translate all of this to
Yeah.
an experience, or you can maybe like be able to reflect back on when you were in your late 20s and where you are
Mm-hmm.
now and how that feels. So yeah, I think this is going to be a really fun one to dive into. I mean, uh we can kind of, I think, just go head first into this like concept of like what kind of started this conversation is I was like, I've kind of been in a transition of like relationship ending, like just kind of like whirlwind
Mm-hmm.
summer. And I was sharing with you like, I'm like at this place where I'm really meeting this grief of like as we approach 30, and I don't know what this is, and maybe you can like articulate this better than I am able to, but like what is it about approaching 30 and like why all of a sudden is like
Mm-hmm.
the like it feels like the pressure or something is on, like something has come into the field of awareness of like I'm almost 30 and this is
It's
where I
like a
am.
milestone, I think, that we're reaching. We're in like an opportunity. It feels like a very natural time for reflection, maybe. Like in our,
Yeah.
I think it was in our previous episode that we just talked about, or maybe a couple episodes ago, of like the desire for a partner and the desire for
Mhm.
children and like those kind of, or the career, like what fill in the blank for whatever it is for you guys listening. But like I think when you reach a milestone, like turning 30, turning 40, like entering the back half of your life in your 50s, like it really calls you to reflect on those things.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what we're experiencing for like the first time. I don't think that really happens when you're 20. I don't
No.
remember that happening when we turned
I feel like the
20.
milestone of 20 is like, woo! Like,
Yes. Yeah.
not literally that, but it's like a little bit more exciting. Like, you're 20, you're really entering adulthood. There's not
Yes.
like this grief yet because, like, your teens, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we've been ready for this, like, to
Yes.
kind of become adults, like, individualize, like, have independence, all of that.
Mhm.
And so it's,
it's like super
It's
exciting and
exciting.
new, and you don't really know what to expect, but you kind of have an idea of like what you are excited about
About
maybe,
right.
like, but
I
yeah,
just feel like
it's
no one can
totally different.
prepare you for adulthood. And so
Yeah.
like the excitement and like maybe the youthful delusion is like
Yeah,
present.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
you're like, yeah, like this is great. And then you've gone through a decade of adulthood and you're approaching 30 and you're thinking, one sec, what is
Mhm.
this? What? You know what I mean? And so um it just is has such a different quality.
It does.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And you know, like we will probably kind of touch on some of the stuff we touched on in our episode about yearning for things, because I think
Mhm.
that like that kind of brings like this transition, this milestone is
Yeah.
bringing all of that into perspective. But yeah, there is something really curious about as we approach this next decade of life, and as we kind of transition into like a different season and have this reflection um around like I think we've said this to each other like off the mic a couple times of like it's not what I pictured,
Yeah.
but it's still really good, and it's still it can be multiple things at one time, like this grief that we're talking about. Like we can love everything that's happened and recognize like okay, like
Mhm.
it feels like we're actually like really like into adulthood now and like really like into womanhood
Mhm. Yeah.
and kind of have crossed that like it's like we're over the hump of like your 20s are wild.
Yeah.
Like wild, and I don't mean like wild like crazy. I mean like our 20s are wild in the sense of like just so much happens in 10 years.
Yeah. You become an adult. You don't become an adult at 18.
Oh
That
my
is
god.
like it's so silly to think of. And when you're 18, you of course feel like that, but looking back, it's like you really don't feel settled into adulthood and like the maturing that happens. And we're going to continue to grow and mature. People in their 40s and 50s and 60s listening are probably like
LOL.
LOL.
You're babies. I know. We know. We
Yes,
know.
but the progression of that happens in like your early to mid 20s, and then you get on the other side of that and you're like, "Oh, wow, okay, like now I'm really settling into adulthood." And I think now, at least in our experience of like reaching 30 or about to reach 30, like it does feel like, okay, we're here.
We're
Like
here.
we're doing the adult thing. Like
Right.
we are,
We've earned our
yeah.
stripes,
Yeah.
and now we get to like really go into this next decade like with a
Yeah.
little bit more intention. And I mean like even at 23 I didn't even really feel like an adult yet.
No, uh-uh.
Yeah, it's like you still
Yeah.
are like finding your footing in it all.
Yeah.
And you know, everybody says like your 30s are your new 20s. Oh my god, I'm so good, thank you, you can keep those.
Yes.
I don't want anything to be my new 20s.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this like next decade,
Me
like what
too.
it's gonna bring.
Gosh, you know, I've been, and this is like what this episode is about. I was literally just going to say I've been like a late bloomer in so many things. And it's funny because like that's what we're here to talk about is like, I'm excited to see like what unfolds in my 30s, because like I think it's really easy when you're young to like be like, oh, in my 20s, I'll like have this adult relationship. I'll like have this like settled path. I'll like have these things. And
Yeah.
um, I like when we initially like started to have this conversation, like I've had a lot of experiences, I've
Hmm.
done so many things, I've been so many places, I've like walked so many different paths in a 10-year period.
Hmm.
um and I didn't have some of the things that I thought I would, like the boxes, like, and I'm, if you're not listening, I'm using air quotes when I say like boxes, because it is like this thing of like when you don't, like I think what I said to you was like I've done all these things and I have nothing to show for it other than like
Hmm.
experiences.
Yeah.
And like I can recognize how like that's not true, because I do obviously have things to show for it, but it's like less of the like adult boxes I've checked. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And how that has been um that is a point of grief for me, right?
Yeah.
And it's not that I would do anything differently. It's just that like it speaks to that desire of like what I'm really ready for.
Yeah.
Um, and so I am so excited for like this next decade to see like what will unfold and like what I'm sure I will have plenty more experiences because of who I am.
Yeah.
And also it'd be cool to like check a box or two. It'd be cool. Like I'm not, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting. It's nice to like I'm glad we had the conversation. I'm glad we're having the conversation here for other people to hear because I think like sometimes we can get wrapped up in like, oh, I missed out on this. And then you hear someone else and they feel the opposite or had a different experience. And sometimes it's almost like the grass is greener thought, kind of like you think that it's so much better in their shoes, but they think the same about you. And
Right.
so sometimes it's good just to have those conversations and to share those things, even if it feels vulnerable, because you start to gain new perspective of like, oh, that
Mhm.
like my black and white thinking on this actually like it's actually really gray. Like there's a lot of
Right.
gray area here. And so just like in this example of in my 20s approaching it from the perspective of like checking those boxes, right? Again, using air quotes if you're not watching, but like um going to college, getting the degrees, starting a like getting married at 21, which zero regrets on that. It's been amazing, and there's I think so many beautiful things about getting married young, but also like your children. Like in a lot of ways, you're like
Yeah.
very very young, and you grow up together. And getting the career job at 21 years old, sticking that out for about 8 years in a high stress job, and buying the house and getting the cars, and just all the things, right? All the things that we're told like this is what you need to do.
Mhm.
And in no way I don't feel like bummed that I got married and have a house and have working vehicles and like I'm
Right.
so glad that I have those things. And there's a part of me that as I'm approaching 30, and I'm using it as kind of like an invitation of what do I want my 30s to look like, is like having a sense of feeling kind of bummed that I spent so much time like the late nights doing schoolwork and feeling so overwhelmed with work and being available literally 24/7 unless I was like on a scheduled vacation, and then even that like if there was something that like someone needed me, like
Mm.
just like always being available. And so dedicating my time to those things instead of dedicating my time to, or at least part of my time to like having experiences. Traveling is something that I love, love, love to do. Like I've done minimal traveling in my adult life just because like it wasn't put on the priority board. And
Mhm.
so looking at, I guess my 30s has been, or like approaching 30 has been an invitation to look back and say, amazing that I, have done these things or have checked these boxes, and I'm so grateful for these things. And here's what I would love to like create space for and like
Yeah.
prioritize as I am entering my 30s.
Absolutely. I love that. And I think that was like so well articulated because it is that like experience of like first of all, like as you were talking about like how, when you get married young, like you grew up together. And
Yeah.
as you said that, I like had this moment of just realizing. And it's funny because my roommates from college that I'm still really close with,
Mm-hmm.
we've said this to each other is like, we grew up together, like we became
Mm-hmm.
adults together. And
Yeah.
so it was like girlhood at its finest.
Yeah.
But like those experiences would not change them, made so many beautiful memories.
Yeah.
And like there's like an uncertainty about it in a sense of like having no idea what's happening or what's going to happen, and like we shared this thing together, and now like we've all gone our separate ways. They're like married or in like their like partnerships
Yeah.
and in their careers now, because like again, this is where I say the late bloomer thing about myself is like after, moving to Los Angeles at 18, going to acting school, and then like, at the end of that being like, I actually need to be committed to a psych ward. And then
Yeah.
also like going on auditions for like a couple months,
Mm-hmm.
and very quickly like, doing the things I needed to do to like excel my career and just hating every second of it and
Yeah.
being like, oh, I need to like pivot.
Mhm.
So for me, the pivot, like they pivoted into school like very quickly. Um, one of my roommates like left LA within 6 months or after, you know, she completed like her time at a theater. She was like, I'm out back to school. And then uh Meredith and I who stayed in LA, like going to school, you know, well in LA, like doing online, but like
Yeah.
not really. I mean, I had no direction in it. I had no
Sure.
idea
Yeah.
what I was doing. I was like, and then ultimately, like in a, I think like a year and a half, 2 year period after school, it might have been like more like 2 years, just being like, okay, I can't stay in this city. I need to get out of here. I need to
Yeah.
get like grounded in something that has roots. And Meredith was like, oh, I'm going to go back to university. And I was like, I'm going to go home. I have no idea what I'm going to do there though.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to go home, work, make some money, figure it out. So I did that
Mhm.
and had no direction though. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there was no, like there was never like the thing about me is I know what I desire, but I don't always know like I feel like I've been one of those people who like there's no path. Like you go to school, you get the degree, you do this. There's no path for what I want to do because it's
Mhm.
like some would argue it's like I'm just like going against the grain. And
Mhm.
so like not having a path to follow, I had
Mhm.
to like I've had to make my own path and
Mhm.
oh my God, it's not for the faint of heart. My
Yeah.
God. Because it's hard. Like there's been so many moments of like, so what's next? Like what do I do? What steps do I take to get there? And not having any map to follow. And the reality is none of us have a map. Like there
Yeah.
might be like a loose prescriptive, like you get the degree that will
Yeah.
allow you to get into these jobs or whatever. But at the end of the day, like there really is no map. If there was, life would be all too easy.
Mhm.
And so there was like a good 5 years of my 20s where I was just like flailing.
Mhm.
I was just like living life out here, like what the fuck.
Yeah.
And so then having a bunch of stuff put into perspective because of like some really like life altering
Mhm.
moments and having to like make some really hard, painful decisions.
Mhm.
I just was like left with like just like a broken heart, a ton of grief. And I
Mhm.
was 25 years old and I was just like, so what do I do now? Like, what do I actually want out of life and how am I going to get it? Because the thing was, is I was like always waiting for someone to make it happen for me.
Yeah.
And so I like made a decision and I was like, okay, I can't wait anymore. I can't like wait for this person to arrive to go on the adventure with me, to go travel with me, to do
Yeah.
whatever. Like I have to just do it. And so that's like really what propelled me into like traveling and like going out in the world and like getting these things because I I was afraid honestly that no
Yeah.
one was ever going to show up to do it with me and I didn't want to wait. And so I went to Europe for 3 months by myself and backpacked. And
Yeah.
then like came seeking out this like indigenous medicine. And before that, like I had done the life coaching program because I knew the career I was in. I was like,
Mhm.
okay, this isn't it. And so I got my certification in life coaching,
Mhm.
but still there was like missing pieces. And so like after I graduated from life coach school, it was like 6 months later that I set out on my backpacking
Yeah.
journey. And like I felt so old by the way doing that. Like this is hilarious. Anyone listening who is not in their 20s is going to be like shut the fuck up. But I was like 27 staying at hostels.
Yeah.
And that's humbling, guys.
Yeah.
Because everyone there is like 19 and 20. I
Yeah.
mean, there were people my age too cuz they were like, "Oh, you know, like I just wanted to get out." And it was post-COVID. So everybody was like the world had just opened up again.
Yeah.
And honestly, best time one of the best times of my life and that chapter I will forever cherish like
Yeah.
what a gift it was and like it was when I would talk to people on the journey or even tell them about it today they're like oh I always wanted to do that but I was so scared and
Mm.
I'm here to tell you So was I. Like,
Yeah.
I was literally
You gotta do
terrified.
it scared. Yeah.
Absolutely. The first day that I got like landed off of the plane, like freshly landed, um, I like got in like midday kind of late and I was exhausted and I hadn't eaten for like 24 hours. And I just
Mm.
was like, I need to sleep. I don't feel good, whatever. Slept, woke up. It was the next day. And I just had this like panic attack. What the fuck am I doing? Cried so much, like
Mm.
had to like pull it together. I was like, how do I do this? I don't know what I'm
Yeah.
doing. Went to this coffee shop and see, God is always with us. The universe is always working for us to facilitate exactly what we need. Because I'm in this
Mm.
coffee shop. I'm like sick to my stomach. I actually literally threw up, but that's
Mhm.
later. That's down the story. Um, and this girl's like taking my order. I'm ordering a coffee and I like hadn't eaten. So I like needed to get food in me.
Mhm.
And I'm at, when you don't eat long enough that you're like
Mm.
nauseous, that
Mhm.
was where I was. And so I was like, got to figure this out. And so I am talking to her and she's like, what are you doing here? And I was like, I have no idea.
Mhm.
And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, I literally don't know what I'm doing. Like, I wanted to travel, so I'm traveling. And she was like, oh, that's like so cool.
Mhm.
Like what, what's the plan look like? And I said something like along the lines of like, I don't know. So far, I've just been like crying a lot and like questioning what the fuck I'm doing. And she was like, well, if it makes you feel any better, I do that every day and I'm stationary.
Yeah.
And I literally was like, I needed to hear that. I was like,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. And then I went and threw up and I was like, all right, we're going to rally now.
Yeah.
Like, and that just like really propelled me into the whole journey of like having someone just be like,
Yeah.
well, I'm doing that. I'm questioning what I'm doing. I'm crying every day and I'm doing the exact same thing and I'm not even going anywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so I get to like go somewhere and do this. And like, I get to go on this
Have
journey.
experiences and make memories in the process.
Exactly. And
Mhm.
so that was like that like experience really like propelled me into this like journey of taking in the experiences. And like, not that I hadn't had experiences before that I had, like, it's crazy when I like really take a step back and look at like what I've done with my life, because I tend to be pretty critical of my path and
Mm.
like tend to be like, I haven't done anything, I have nothing to show for all the things that I've done. And it's not that I don't have anything to show. It's just like what I have to show for it is so different than like what we're told we should have to show for
That's what
it.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Because
Yeah.
what I have to show for it is like memories,
Storytelling.
experience,
Yeah.
and capitalism, consumerism, the modern world kind of promotes something else. It's like, but
Mhm.
where's your like success? And I'm using air quotes when I say success. It's like, what does
Mhm.
success look like? And unfortunately, conventionally, like it looks like having material things or having like
Yep.
something physical.
Yeah.
And I don't have a lot of physical things to show. I have emotional things to show.
Mhm.
And that is like, can be, it feels lonely sometimes, I think, is like what I like chalk it up to, is like, oh,
Mhm.
I'm actually just kind of like, because in all of those experiences, and even still, like when I was in Wales this last year, I had the moment of like, you're looking at something or you're like did the hike or you're like on the thing and literally I'm alone, completely alone. And there's no
Yeah.
like turning next to my like someone and being like, look at that. Like, isn't this amazing?
Yeah.
It's just like, isn't this amazing? And it's like, but
Yeah.
no one else is there. And so
Yeah.
I've like actually had moments where I like go to be like, look,
Yeah.
oh, you know what I mean?
Well, how cool that in your 30s, as we're approaching a new decade, new possibilities for connections, partnership, etc., where you have like this foundation of like going on the journey, going on the like amazing experience of traveling, solo traveling, and like seeing the world and kind of like navigating that whole system to be able to like know and understand that that's something that you love doing and maybe crave more of, and to also have like the other piece to it of being able to turn to someone and say like, oh my gosh, look at how amazing this is.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's like that yearning and like
Yeah.
being at this transition, right? Like how you talked about like you're ready to like call in and cultivate and create space for more experiences and
Yeah.
like traveling and adventure and like those moments, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm really craving the like settling into a home and like building something with someone and like inviting someone into my space in that partnership. And like I think we can both like just, if it's not obvious already to our
Mhm.
listeners, we're both like really in the space of like ready to be mothers, like
Mhm. Yeah.
so ready for that journey.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, you know, there's things that I have to cultivate in order to do that, right? Just in that, like, I mean, it's going to be pretty hard to like procreate by myself.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, and I know that there's avenues that I can take to do that, but we're not there yet.
Mhm.
We're not there.
Yeah.
And I really don't know that that's like what's true for me, right? And
Yeah.
so, um, just like as we move toward the end of this, like really crazy, powerful period of our lives, because the thing is like your 20s really are about like learning. I feel like your 20s are the middle school of life.
Mhm. Yeah.
Only it's 10 years long instead of like 2 years.
Yeah, it's a bit longer, and but it really is like an awkward, it's like an awkward stage of adulthood where like in the beginning you're an adult on paper, but like you don't really feel quite like an adult yet. Like you're still trying to figure out how to do it.
Mhm.
And it's like a whole process of kind of like self-discovery, and I think your whole life is a process of self-discovery, and stepping into and settling into like what feels most authentic. But I feel like your 20s is kind of like the big initiation to that, of like really, and you don't anticipate that. Like I didn't anticipate that. So it's kind of like as you go through it, you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm being called to really to figure out who I am. And maybe that's not everyone's experience. I don't know, but that's I guess been our
I mean,
experience.
that's been our experience. Let me just like gather my words. What the hell? But I think like a lot of the people I've connected with on this, and it's like not a ton of people, it's like some of my like the girls that I'm still pretty close with from college, like
Mhm.
my friends there, and then like my sister, like it's,
Mhm.
and you know, recently I was talking to a man about this and like he shared similar sentiments, and
Mhm.
um just in that like I think that that's a lot of people's experiences,
Yeah.
and maybe it looks a little bit different or like it's unfolded differently because of circumstance and whatever, like
Right.
totally acknowledging that that's like a possibility,
Yeah.
100%. But like if you're not like understanding more about who you are, or like, you know,
Yeah.
when does that come, you know? And I totally want to acknowledge that like certain circumstances maybe like you have to put like the self on the back burner
Yeah.
because of that, and that's very valid, and that can create like a whole other grief as you enter into your 30s or whatever decade it is. So like there's room for all of it,
Mhm.
but ultimately like just shining a light on the reality that like there is grief in the change, and
Yeah.
not all grief is like excruciating.
Mhm.
Some grief is just like, hmm, you know, like, oh, my heart feels that, and you
Yeah.
know, like some of it is like the I think that there's like grief is like a spectrum, like all things, right? Like
Yeah.
where it falls, and for some people maybe it is excruciating, like,
Yeah.
you know. Because the thing is, though, about it that I like really feel to be true is that we can't like regret anything, because if we do regret something, then like, are we really honoring our past self? Are
Mhm.
we really honoring what was true for a decision we made or
Right.
whatever? Right. Um, and so that's where it's like, I don't think that it's like regret. It's just like reflection.
Mhm. Yeah, and just using it as an invitation not to like dwell on the whole experience and be like, oh my gosh, I missed out completely. Maybe there's people who like had babies in their early 20s, or have been in school for this entire time, like whatever that is for you. Like there's still so much to like to pull from the experience, and to also just use it as an invitation to say, okay, so I'm done with that chapter in my life, the chapter of my 20s or 30s or 40s or wherever you're at in your life. And this is something that I'm grieving a little bit. And so it's an invitation for me to figure out how can I maybe incorporate some of that into this next season of my life. And it may not look like, the fullest expression of that thing. And maybe it doesn't fit into this like exact season of your life. Maybe it's something that is a down the road situation, but to just use it as an opportunity to look at like the season of reflection, like you said, like that's what I guess that's just what we're in. We're in a huge season of reflection right now.
For sure. Yeah. Too, like, as you were saying that, I'm thinking about like, if it doesn't fit into the season of life you're in the sense of like what what your job or what you've chosen or like whatever doesn't allow it, and it's something that you like yearn for, that's where you get to decide how to pivot and
Yes.
like be
Yeah.
like, you know what, this isn't working and I really know that I want this thing. So how am I
Yeah.
going to change things to actually support that?
Mm-hmm.
Because the reality is like we do have to make those hard decisions sometimes. And so like reflecting on that and reflecting on what do I need to do to like cultivate this, to create space for this, or
Yeah.
and like a couple episodes ago, I think 2 episodes from previous to this, we talked about like that yearning,
Yeah.
and like yes, sometimes it is a not right now, sometimes it
Yeah.
is like no, it's not time from spirit or God or the universe or whatever, but sometimes it also is like we have to make decisions, and that's one of the hard lessons of your 20s, I feel like, is that like
Mm-hmm.
you have to decide what you want and how it's going to unfold, and when you want it, because if you don't decide, then I think that's what creates space for regret of
Mm-hmm.
like I was too scared or I didn't want to make this choice because it was hard, and then on the other side of it being like, well, now I'm you know maybe at a different age that doesn't really facilitate that in the same way or
Yeah.
whatever. But exactly, like it really is like this huge season of like reflection, and I think that that's like part of the human experience.
For sure. It absolutely is. No matter if you're going through an age change, a decade change like we are, or if you are just finding yourself in a period of reflection where you're kind of having this like wake up call moment of, gosh, I'm just not living the life that I really want to be living. Like it's not feeling good for me anymore. Or this is something that I'm really craving in my life that I don't have right now. And it's within my power to make a change or to step into, this different version of myself or have these experiences or whatever. And so it's a matter of doing that honest assessment and figuring out like, okay, what's within my power to do
Absolutely.
so that I can actually live a life that feels like super good for me. Because if you stay complacent in this, like you're going to find yourself so far down the road looking back and the grief is going to be heavy. Like it's not just going to be like, "Ooh, my heart feels this right now." It's going to be heavy.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I can speak to that a little bit in the sense of like the like relationship I've had with my family,
Mhm.
and I love these people dearly, like oh
Mhm.
my gosh, that's part of it, but like why I've stayed in the situation for so long. But
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, like I coming up on 30 has really like put that into perspective of like
Mhm.
I've said it on here before, I think in our codependency episode, but this quote like was life altering for me, and it's the like sacrificing the best years of your life at the altar of you know being present for other people, and not
Yeah.
to say like we shouldn't be of service and we shouldn't. I I
Yeah.
think that it's so important to have community and to be
Yeah.
there for people, and to family is important to me, and so like that's a reality.
Yeah.
And if I continue to stay in certain like if I continue to have my capacity only be for that, time is going to keep going away. And I
Yeah.
am going to get to a certain age where it's like, well, my 20s are over
Yeah.
and I've like been in service to this thing. And
Yeah.
then what, like my 30s are going to be over and then I've been in service to this thing. And what about like the things that I longed for?
Yeah.
And so I think that like just to share like a fraction of that, obviously it's not as severe as like some people's might be, because like obviously I've still stepped away and traveled and I've done things and
Mhm.
I've had experiences, but there are a lot of things that like I've said no to or I've like shut the door on because, well, I have to be here for my family.
Yeah.
And that's codependency, everyone, and enmeshment, but that's for another time. As I've moved through that, what I can tell you is resentment is real. And it's
Mhm.
not that I'm like resentful of my family, but there have been moments where I felt frustrated because I think we get confused about what resentment is. I think a
Mhm.
lot of people think resentment is like anger,
Mhm.
but actually, I think resentment is envy.
Mm.
And I think it's being envious of, well, how can how can someone else be okay making this hard choice? How can
Mm.
you, like, the Brene Brown like explains it about like the dishes, like
Yeah.
how at the end of the day, like work, whatever, dinner, all the things, kids, the dishes would sit in the sink, and she was like feeling resentful toward her husband about like, how can you sit there and be fine that there's a bunch of dishes to do and
Yeah.
somebody has to do the dishes? And she was really examining, like, in her Atlas of the Heart is like where you can find this segment.
Mhm.
I'm this is the regurgitated version. We know I'm great at details, you guys. But
Cliff Notes version.
Cliff Notes, like with some maybe like slight alterations,
Yes.
because my memory does not serve. But she like essentially talked about how like when she was examining like resentment, it wasn't about anger or frustration, it was about envy, because she was envious of the fact that he could sit there and be fine that the dishes weren't done,
Yeah.
and she couldn't sit there and be fine that the dishes weren't done. And that really, like, I think that has really spoken to like a lot of my experience in my family and in like my role, the role that I've like played.
Yeah.
And as I've moved through the last half of my 20s and like now like 30 is here,
Yeah.
just recognizing like, oh, I I actually have to like literally make a change and like do something different, create space in a different way in my life. Like my desire for partnership, was he going to arrive when I was living with my parents and tending to every
Right.
need and being completely available for them?
Yeah.
Um no.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't going to, where was he going to fit into that? And like,
Yeah.
is it fair of me to say to someone like, "Oh yeah, like you have to come into this"?
Yeah.
No. Most people are going to be like, "Hey, I think we should like have some healthy boundaries with your family."
For sure.
What?
Yeah. They're like, I didn't sign up for this whole package all the
Like
time.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, no,
Yeah, no,
exactly.
but literally making the space, like literally getting your own space, your own place, like having the actual space in your life externally and internally to welcome those things in, whether it be a partner,
An opportunity.
traveling, opportunity,
Yeah,
like all the things. Yeah.
literally it's that. And so just for our listeners, like if there is that thing that you're desiring, whatever transition you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, etc., like really getting on the ground, because the reality is I had a role in that. Like it didn't happen to
Sure.
me. It was a
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
And so owning my choices and also saying, okay,
Yeah.
well, but I want something different.
Yep.
I have to create that.
Yeah.
And I think that that's like part of the reflection of this season.
Yeah. Ugh, the ownership piece, it's so good. And it's so hard because it takes like some loving but honest self-confrontation of like, ooh, I had a part in making a choice to do the college and career thing and missing out on things that I really desired. And I have to sit with that. I have to take ownership for that and take ownership for I get to choose what things look like going forward. So it
Yeah.
goes both ways. And but if you try and like offload the responsibility onto somebody else, or it was my job, it was because of my boss, or like just all the excuses that we want to make, like you're playing the victim,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not actually helping, it's just perpetuating. So you
Mm-hmm.
get to choose, I guess you get to choose like the perspective that you take with all of this and what you do going forward.
Absolutely. And as like a piece of that is too, it's like easy to outsource the blame. It's like,
Yeah.
it's almost like, it's almost like our first instinct to like outsource it to the other. Like,
Mm-hmm.
well, this is everybody else's fault. But actually like getting down on the ground and like sitting with like, hey, and also like it's not about fault. Sometimes I think it's not about like good or bad or right or
Mm-hmm.
wrong or like fault. It's about um well, this is just the choice I made. And this was the way that the, dominoes fell because of the choice that I made. And
Yeah.
I get to like sit with that and cultivate something different, like you just said,
Yeah. It can be neutral. Like it doesn't have to be from a place of like, you did this horrible thing or you
Right.
made this bad choice or I made this bad. Like it can just be. It
Yeah.
just is.
Right. And I feel like that's like the like thing about this decade wrapping up. It's like it just is. Like there's no
Hmm.
good or bad. Like
Yeah.
honestly, it wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah. Just let it exist
It is what
as
it
it
is.
is.
And I'm like so grateful for the journey because that's what life is about, right? Is the
Yeah.
journey. And so much gratitude.
Yeah.
And moving forward, we get to like really intentionally like create some different things.
Yeah.
Um, I'm excited. Like, do you have any traveling in mind for this next?
Honestly, not a ton. We were going to do some like summer traveling, which has been changed just because of other people's plans. So but we were both very excited about talking about potentially like doing a few weeks in Europe next summer. So maybe we'll think about still figuring out how to do that. Yeah. So we've got to we've got to talk about some dreams, like dreaming and scheming. It's
Oh
so
my God, make
fun.
a vision board.
Yeah,
That'd be
yes.
so
It
fun.
would be really
Or a
fun.
Pinterest vision board. Those are great too.
Love Pinterest. Oh my
Oh, I
gosh.
love Pinterest. Like the way that it's come back into my life in the last like
Oh,
year.
it's so good.
Oh, I
It's like
love
so
it.
quiet too over there. It's nice. It's
It
like
is.
you're just there for inspiration. You're not there for
It's very aesthetically pleasing. It's very like
yes.
simple. I love it. Yeah. I am just like that reminded me of like the use Pinterest like of Pinterest in high school
Hmm.
when we'd have parties or silly thing like our Christmas parties. If you were there,
Oh my goodness. Our graduation party,
Oh my gosh,
Pinterest
so
inspired. It was
cute.
very
It
cute.
was very Pinterest like driven and now like you can do so much on there to like even just
Yeah.
create like the essence of something
Yes.
that you want to invite in and get a feel for it. So
Yeah.
I love that. I can't wait to see what adventures you guys go on. If you need any
Yeah.
inspiration, I'm
Yeah.
here for
I know,
you.
girl.
Yeah, exactly. I've been places.
Yeah.
Um yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah.
And it's like that's the thing is like when I imagine having a partner or like, even having a family, like I'm like, well, my baby can backpack. The fuck? I'll just wear it
Yes.
will be the
Yeah.
backpack.
Yes.
It will.
Yeah.
Will I take my child? Well, you know what? I'm never gonna say never because we'll just see what unfolds. But
That's right. Yeah.
I'm like was getting ready to say like, will I take my child through Peru like to do medicine ceremonies? Maybe not. But then I was thinking, maybe.
We'll leave the door open
We'll
for
leave the door
it.
open. They won't be doing the medicine,
Yeah.
to clarify for anyone listening. But
Yes.
yeah, no, exactly. Like
It's exciting just to think about what the next decade will hold for us. I'm very excited to see how it unfolds.
me too. I'm really excited to love someone. Like cuz
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of love to give
Mm-hmm.
and I've tried to give it to a lot of people who actually are really uninterested in having it.
Mm-hmm. And undeserving. Let's
Ah,
be
I
honest.
love that you said that. Oh my god, I'm going to cry. Literally though, yeah, a little undeserving.
Just a
Just like a
little.
dash of just reciprocity is really important.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's not there, then you should probably take that love elsewhere. This is for anybody.
Run. Yeah.
Yeah. Kayla's like outside looking in, you should probably get out of that.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's like the thing I'm most excited to like
Yeah.
cultivate and create is just like I just want to fall in love and like love and be loved because I've been in love, but to like be loved back with
Mm-hmm.
depth, that is going to be
I'm
a
so excited for you.
I'm going to cry. Literally, it makes me so emotional
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
like it's so tender.
It is. Yeah.
And not that like I haven't been loved back, it's just like the capacity in which some people have to
Yeah.
love is like got the depth of like showers.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty limited.
And I'm
Yeah.
ready for an ocean.
Yes.
We could start with a lake, but like really
Yeah.
an ocean would be great. And um yeah, like the experience I've had with that has been a little bit more like a little very surface level. So
Yeah.
I'm excited too.
Yeah. Good things are coming, friends.
Yeah, and you can meet this if you've like listened to this and if it's resonating at all, just like trust that for yourselves.
Hmm.
And hopefully we get to like look back on this. I think we've said this like in many
I
episodes.
know. We keep saying it, but it's so true. Like looking back on it and just being like, "Oh my gosh, look how far we've come," or like,
Yes.
"Look at
Look
how
at what we
things have changed."
created. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exciting. Yeah, so that's also fun to do. Is like to do these like little documentations, like journaling, or maybe I know some people who like record themselves just for themselves to like have this like video evidence for themselves to look back on of like a season that they were in or thoughts that they were having at a certain time. So it's fun. It's fun that we're creating this, which is a very public way of looking back on these things, but
Oh my God.
we'll have it to look back on. So
Yeah, I love that. That's
yeah.
hilarious. I saw this person on the internet like records little videos throughout the month, and then she like every month makes like a 30-second video that's 1 second of each day.
Oh my gosh. That's wow. I could never.
I mean, it's a lot of dedication, but the
Yes.
video she shared like was really amazing because it like is like a little tiny snapshot of like
Yeah.
each month.
That's cute.
I know. I was like, okay, that's really cute. Could not be me. Would never. I can't even be consistent in things that like actually require consistency. So,
So that takes a lot of discipline, I guess, to like just like
or
have a little.
desire.
Yeah, I good for her.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. You know what is so funny? And this is like unrelated but related is like us as people. You and I are so different in certain ways, but like so similar in some ways. And I
Yeah,
think that like it's so funny. It's just really cool to like see this play out. And also like I'm sure our listeners sometimes, well, one, they might be thinking when I'm talking, what the fuck is she saying? Because my brain like just I've actually had people in my life be like, wait, 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 pause, rewind. How did you get to what you just said to me? Because like we were having one conversation and then it
you're
like
like, what?
jumped.
You're not tracking?
I'm like, oh, right. In my head, these 5 thoughts led to that.
Yeah,
Um, and I feel like you're like really articulate and like way more like disciplined than me. I am like chaos incarnate. And if you knew anything about my like family life, you'd be like, that makes sense. That tracks. You know what I mean? And
yes,
so it's just I love like going on this journey with you and having these like moments and getting to
yeah.
like, I'm sure in ways we just like weave into one another and like inspire each other in different
We're
ways.
just wandering and weaving.
Oh my God. Stop. I love it.
Oh, that was
Oh,
his cue.
just in
Burke
time.
has joined us. Well, I feel like that's a good place to end. So just a final reminder of the 3 month fall program, or if you don't join us on September 22nd, you can join on month 2 or month 3. And we will have more information in the show notes and on our socials. So,
Yes. Thank you guys.
all right, we'll see you guys next time.